morning. Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 25th day of February 2025. And in studio I have Senator Richard Onyonka. He's the Senator of Kisii County. Good morning, Senator.
Morning, Sammy.
Good to see you.
Happy to see you. Happy to be here.
Senator Veronica Maina, nominated Senator UDA. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Sam. It's nice to see you once again.
I see you once every 6 months.
You need to call me more times. I don't know why you are calling. You appear to be calling more men than women.
No.
Can you add more women into the panels?
I will continue looking for you.
Thank you, Sam.
Now, Senator Moses Kajwang has sent his apologies. He's not able to join us. He's slightly under the weather, but the show continues. We are still waiting for Senator Dan Manzo from Makueni County. As soon as he's here, we'll have him join the panel. On the front pages, The Standard, Raila caged. They're talking about veteran opposition leaders' political future is at crossroads as he and his closest allies, Oburu Oginga, Paul Mwangi and Junet Mohammed, navigate high-stakes talks with President Ruto. You may have seen those pictures from Mombasa, images of William Ruto, Raila Odinga, and the lawyer, that is Paul Mwangi. And it was images taken showing as if there has been conversations on what sort of arrangements should be held or agreements should be held. We'll talk about that shortly. On the front page of the Daily Nation, Ruto, Raila show of unity. President Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga have reportedly agreed to a working arrangement between the ruling KK coalition and ODM party. What are the details? They have said they are going out to consult and come back. But also on the Daily Nation, one of the main stories is who wanted this Brighton dead. Investigators say the partly decomposed body had visible injuries, and a taxi driver Nawita have been arrested in connection with the murder of British national Campbell Scott as police scramble to solve the puzzle of who may have wanted the 58-year-old dead and why. But also the two papers are very heavy on stories of the Social Health Authority, which is also a story that we had in our news just a few minutes ago. But also something is happening in the country, and you may have seen it in different reports, and that is the proposed removal, petitions to remove the Supreme Court judges have been filed at the Judicial Service Commission. Yesterday, there were directions from the High Court stopping the continuing of the processing of those complaints against DCJ Philomena Mwilu, Justice Mohammed Ibrahim, Justices Oko, and the other judge that now free to continue with their work, having stopped those proceedings for the moment. But obviously the petitioners will be pushing on with the intention. And Senator Veronica Maina, let me begin with you on this one, on what exactly is happening, because there has been accusations, including from the former deputy president, saying that it is the establishment that wants these judges out of office. How true is that?
That cannot be further from the truth, because if it is the establishment which wants the judges out of office, I think they would come out open to the public in an accountable manner and indicate that they would want the removal of the Supreme Court judges. And short of that, we should avoid the speculation, because what has been happening mostly, Sam, is that we have a very speculative social media that can read in between the lines, do some theories, develop postulations of what could be happening, and then come out and say maybe this is the, the certain individuals who are looking to hound out the judges from their offices. I think we should stop the speculation, because a removal from office of a judge of a superior court is well stipulated in the Constitution. And if you look at who has petitioned the JSC for the removal of the Supreme Court judges and the CJ, we are very clear. We know it's Nelson Harvey has one petition. Maybe we have another few petitions that are before the JSC. And I haven't seen any petition from, let's say, the presidency, or let's say the executive, or I haven't seen any person who has come out from the executive or from the presidency to indicate that they are interested in the removal of the judges. And unless that intention is made clear in writing, then we cannot clearly say that they are the ones who are hounding them out of office.
Senator Maina, because if you recall in 2022, after the election and there was the Cherera 4 versus the Chebukati 3, we saw calls to remove them from office, from the political side, from your political side. Eventually we saw a petition to remove the 4, and actually went ahead to remove Irene Masid because the others resigned just before the processing of that. Is it something that...
and that should tell you the behavior of our side when they intend to do something. They would come out expressly, because there wouldn't be any fear if for instance, any person wanted to remove a judge from office. They may have a right under Article 168 if they feel that grounds are persisting, which would then support the removal of that judge from their office. So that means by expression through media, they would come out openly and say, I'm uncomfortable with this judge, I'm uncomfortable with the behavior or the conduct of the CJI, or uncomfortable with any judge of the High Court or Superior Court, and for that reason, I am bringing this petition, and I'm convinced, just the way Nelson Harvey is doing, I believe they would be strong enough to do that, because you cannot, as a strong leader, to sit in the background or in a back room somewhere, purport to want to remove a judge and not come out clearly to say the grounds for which you want to remove the judge. All
right, and also joining us this morning is Senator Dan Manzo from Makueni.
What is happening when
Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, good morning.
Right, what do you want to say, Senator Maina?
I wanted to say, what I would say is that the insinuation that the removal is not being done by the petitioners that we are saying is then speculative and may be now used for political purposes, maybe to settle scores.
All right. Let's listen to one of those politicians who has been speaking about this on what exactly they are saying. Watch.
Na huyu mama anafukuzwa kwa sababu amekataa kuua mtu ya Yesa. Si ndio? Mtasimama na Martha Koome? Huyu mama akifukuzwa, nipige filimbi mtoke kwa barabara. Mtatoka hamtatoka? Mtatoka hamtatoka? Ukifukuza Martha Koome, usikanyange hapa Meru. Tunakuambia rais, wewe panga jama, ufukuze Martha Koome, na wewe ukae Nairobi, usikanyange hapa Meru tena. We are not going to sit again as William Ruto destroy the leadership of the Mount Kenya Legion. It's too much. It is too much. It cannot be.
Senator Onyonka, does the former deputy president have a right, is he justified to say the things he's saying?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, you see if you look at the scenario, the political scenario that is cooking in our space, in the country, political space, one, we have moved away from, if there was any strategy on development agenda, talking about policy, trying to change things if there's a problem. And we have now shifted on to the normal stating and justifying or even complaining on what is happening. Honestly, I feel that on a fair basis, it doesn't look good to stand up in a public function and actually warn the president that he cannot come to a certain area. That basically means then you are raising up those temperatures and you're making whoever that message is supposed to get to, of course, to be radicalized because of what is happening. But to me, this is a symptom. This is a symptom of our politics. The issues, I think they are all known to all of us. The issues which are there, you understand what happened to DP Gachagua, and I don't think he's going to stop soon. I think he will continue raising those issues because obviously he doesn't have state function right now. He's more freer, and people are visiting him. How I would pray and wish that I really enjoy when he talks. I actually do, because he picks points in a very different manner. The only thing that worries me is if you pick now the statements that he's making, which then, for example, what would happen if the president traveled to Meru and something happens? This will be seen as a precursor or an earlier thought out, which then...
But on the question of removing the judges, what is the intention?
On the question of removing the judges, I'm just where my speaker is. I mean, Sam, there are things happening in this country right now that are really shocking. And the things that are happening in the country, including the issue of removing the Chief Justice, the issue of having all these groups that are having issues in their countries, looking at the stories which are coming up, if true, then my feeling is that the state known as Kenya is actually in danger. All right, it's in danger. Why? Because now the mix is in between the politics. Seeing everywhere, you're having issues of how certain individuals in the government are doing business. I mean, everything is...
What business are they doing?
You didn't see, there's a statement from the Sudanese government which is saying that the president has been selling gold with the militia leader from Sudan.
How true is that?
It's a report from a newspaper in Dubai, which has posted out everything, the amounts and the quantities. I don't know whether it's true. I am just saying if that is the case, then it's overwhelming.
Senator Manzo,
yes.
What is the state of the independence of the judiciary at this time if you're having petitions to remove an entire bench? There are not so many, but there's that petition.
Well, I'm surprised Senator Veronica Maina seemed to be very naive. I want to tell her that I was one
naive.
of the...
Are you sure you want to use that title?
Please allow him to finish.
Let me just tell you, because I am one of the people actually who've been previously approached by people associated with the government to move such a petition. So there has been such plans, and I declined because I didn't find sufficient grounds. And you know that the Chief Justice Koome, you see the level of Chief Justice, the level of Inspector General, they are public officers which are actually political.
Yep.
You remember how she was appointed at the time of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Mm-hmm. So a different regime may be uncomfortable.
What do you mean it's a political appointment?
The way you process the Chief Justice, you see, it's processed through Parliament. Mm-hmm. And there's a way Parliament is mobilized to have a certain Chief Justice appointed. You know that it's a matter of numbers. You go through an interview, and then there's a vote. And that's how you become appointed as the Chief Justice or Deputy Chief Justice.
The recruitment of a Chief Justice is first interviews by the Judicial Service Commission.
Yes.
So where do political numbers come in?
Names first, you know names are proposed. And then, people apply.
Yeah.
And then they are sieved out. But finally, the decision is made in Parliament.
Yeah, but do you have a choice? I mean,
if Parliament rejects a name which is brought for a reason or two, if a name is rejected, and in the past names have been rejected for IBC, etc. So I want to say that that appointment in itself is political in nature.
Which name was rejected for IBC commissioners?
You remember, not for IBC commissioners, a chair. You remember days ago, there was an advocate of High Court of Kenya, and the Honorable Millie brought up an issue on the floor of the House, and that name was dropped. It happens.
Whose name?
You remember, if you jog back into history.
No, I'm asking, who is this was rejected by Parliament? Because I have no record.
Yes, there's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, I don't want to mention him here, who was rejected, when he was just about to become a chair of the IBC Commission. So Parliament can move in a certain way and reject.
Sorry, a name came from the President to Parliament for IBC appointment, approval hearings, and it was rejected?
Yes, those days. You know the IBC Act has kept on being improved. So the point I'm trying to make is that at that level, so long as a name is being processed in Parliament, is likely to be political. And so long as you are hired in a political way, then you are likely to be removed politically. And I want to state categorically that the current Chief Justice and even the Supreme Court are being removed politically. It's not that they have done anything so serious. So we want to see how they're going to be processed. You know, the JSC is supposed to hear. She sits in that, so it means she's going to step aside so that the rest of the JSC members can make a determination. That determination can still be challenged in a court of law. And that's why you see already they have made challenges, and especially if the petition does not disclose, you know, a reason. And therefore, you cannot divorce politics out of this. The Chief Justice is simply be hounded out of office politically.
That's what I'm asking. Is there any particular reason why, apart from the insinuation about politics?
You know, in the petition, it must plead the grounds. And then each one of those grounds must be proved. Is she corrupt? If somebody has evidence, they should tender. If she isn't, you cannot simply remove her based on that. And eventually, you know, even at the JC is going to be a vote. And then you see whatever decision they make, because it's an administrative decision, can be challenged in a court of law.
Okay, all right. Of course, to remove a Chief Justice, it would require a tribunal chaired by Speaker of the National Assembly eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
You wanted to...
Yes, I wanted to interject because of my friend's wrong reference to me as naive.
Well, I apologize for
naive
that.
must be farthest from the truth, because what I would say is actually that his argument is very ignorant of Article 168 of the Constitution. Article 18, which stipulates how a judge may be removed of Superior Court may be removed from the office. And his argument, yes, I do agree there is politicization of the matter, and I have indicated that, that the challenge we might be having now is politicization and reading in between the lines, reading beyond what the script is saying. Because if a strong individual like Nelson Harvey, who is a seasoned lawyer, presents a petition, do you honestly want to believe that he does not understand what he's doing and that he's actually being used to present that petition? If it's an ordinary Kenyan, and I'm not saying an ordinary Kenyan doesn't have average intelligence, because they do have average intelligence. If it's if it's a person who is not at the level of Nelson Harvey presenting that petition, you look at the profile of the person presenting the petition, and you see that the person who is even presenting the petition can't even read or write, has even been written down for, though you could also have such a petitioner, and as a strong petitioner who actually does not have the ability to read and write, but they need help in the reading and writing. Do you want to tell me that that petitioner, like Nelson Harvey, does not understand what he's doing when he presents a petition? Yes, he does. I also admit that, yes, now the issue has been politicized. Politicized to the extent that when we see the president being told you cannot step in Meru if the CJ is removed, there are two issues here, and I want to separate the two. First, the matter is in court, so we comment only on the political part of it. I believe the process that has been initiated against the whole bench, against the whole of Supreme Court, is faulty. It's erroneous and faulty, in the sense that even under the Constitution does not envisage removal of a bench. Like, you cannot remove six judges together. It envisages removal of a judge at a time. Each judge is given their own opportunity to defend themselves, to present their case, and a petition is made against specific judges. What do we have? The petition that has been presented is to wipe away, scrape off the Supreme Court. So are we looking at the institution? The person who is petitioning for removal of a whole Supreme Court, are they interested in amending the Constitution so that you don't have a Supreme Court? Or what is the motive driving that petition? So let me be clear on those two. But on the politicization, so that I am clear that I think the process being used is wrong, to say that the CJ and the Supreme Court judges should be removed. On the part of the politicization, that the president is the one who wants to remove, it would only come if does he have a function in the removal? That's the first question you ask. Does the president have a function in the removal? If I'm seated as JSC, having the mandate as a commissioner to look through the removal of even a judge, I myself, competent enough as a commissioner, would use my competence to say whether this judge should be removed or this judge should not be removed. Nobody should fail to do their duty, by the way, and state officers and public officers need to be very cautious. Nobody should fail to do their rightful duty and then ride behind politics that I have done this bad action because I was told by Sam Gituku to do that bad action. Do you not have your own feet and your own teeth? But let me ask you,
because the judges have petitioned the High Court to stop the process at the Judicial Service Commission, where does that sit? Because, like you're saying, JSC should be given the opportunity to consider the petitions on their own merit, but now they're going ahead to challenge the same work before the High Court. What happens?
I think anybody, if somebody wants to remove you from your job today as an anchor, it is your right to challenge if you feel it is being done wrongly and the process, due process, is not being followed, or if you feel it's driven by malice, that you've done so well in Citizen that maybe even people are feeling jealous, so they want to remove you from that position. It is your right to defend yourself. So for me, I would say, if the CJ and the judges feel they are wrongfully being pushed through a process, it is their right to go to court. And they are
is that avenue available to politicians?
Yes. Why not? And politician in which respect?
If they are being impeached, for instance.
Of course, you know very well that somebody like Governor Kawira Mwangaza, after impeachment was done in Senate and completed. But how is she back in office?
Former DP Gachagua, the courts never give orders to stop.
I cannot answer for the former DP, because I cannot answer for the court in the way they are handling that case, because they need to take accountability as an institution themselves. For instance, if the former DP feels that the court have not treated him correctly or properly, there are avenues available, just like there are avenues available to the Supreme Court judges. Same avenues available to go to the same court and tell the judiciary, as the neutral arbiter within this institution, look at my case and tell me why I am being removed or impeached this way. It is their right. And it's only judiciary that can answer that question. I wouldn't answer for
Senator
them.
Manzo, I mean, what happens? Why are we having different outcomes for almost similar actions?
You remember, even in the case of DP Gachagua, we tried to file documents at the Court of Appeal, and it could not happen. The whole system got frozen, and only when a new DP was sworn was the process able to move. So there's a lot of manipulation done by the government of the day. You could feel it in court, you could see it. You could see that the judges will want to retreat to make a ruling, and they'll tell you we'll be back in 30 minutes, but they'll be back after 2 hours. So you'll never divorce politics out of these processes, and I can clearly see politics in the Supreme Court matter, and let the High Court determine whether Nelson Harvey has correctly understood. Remember, Nelson Harvey is a member of UDA. And you can also guess where the instructions are coming from. So let him have solid reasons.
He's qualified to be a petitioner, is it?
He's qualified to be a petitioner, very qualified. And let him present solid reasons with evidence. If there is evidence, if any judge has, if the Chief Justice has done something wrong, the whole public will see. If the Chief Justice is innocent, the whole country will also see.
All right, and of course we'll be unpacking that particular matter. I'm just wondering, there could be a question of perception here, because if it is the judges going to the High Court to seek orders, and of course in the hierarchy of courts they rank higher than the High Court, they are listened to, they are given orders.
The High Court has original jurisdiction.
No, there's no problem with that. I'm just wondering, it may appear like judges have audience in court, politicians not necessarily, depending on where they stand.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll continue to follow that story, including the facts in the petition. We'll be serializing them. I'm just seeing here, which is important to highlight, that 168, Article 168 is about Article 4, the Judicial Service Commission shall consider the petition, and if it is satisfied that the petition discloses a ground for removal under Clause 1, send the petition to the President, and then the President shall within 14 days after receiving the petition suspend the judge from office, and acting in accordance with the recommendation of the JSC, in the case of Chief Justice, would appoint a tribunal that would be, this is important, it would be chaired by the Speaker of the National Assembly, in this case Moses Wetangula. The members would be 3 Superior Court judges from common law jurisdictions, 1 advocate of 15 years standing, and 2 other persons with experience in public affairs. So to remove Chief Justice Martha Koome, you'd require a tribunal chaired by Speaker Moses Wetangula. In the case of the other judges, then a tribunal would consist of a chairperson and 3 other members from among persons who hold or have held office as a judge of a superior court, or who are qualified to be appointed as such, but who in either case have not been members of the JSC at any time within the immediately preceding 3 years. You also need 1 advocate of 15 years and 2 other persons with experience in public affairs, just to have an understanding of how a tribunal would look like to remove the judges of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice. So those would be sort of 2 tribunals, or different, depending on how the President...
Yes, they are different, because you see the one for the CJ brings in another 3 Superior Court judges from common law jurisdictions. That means it's outside
it can be outside
Kenya. It's other, judges from maybe Commonwealth jurisdictions or countries that utilize the common law. So that means we would need help from outside.
I was saying it can be different tribunals, meaning that if you want to remove 5 judges, you can form 5 tribunals, or you can form 1 tribunal to remove all the 5.
Exactly.
We're taking a short break here on Daybreak. When we come back, we'll dive into the conversation of what just transpired yesterday in Mombasa. President Ruto met with Raila Odinga, and they're saying they're all out to go and consult. What consultations? Stay tuned for that.